Welcome, students, as we prepare for another episode and the end of the season of DC Graduates. I'm one of your teachers, your doctor recommended dose of dirtiness, aka your nerd today, Carlos Rodriguez. And as always, I am joined by my teacher in crime, Sly. Sly, how are you today?
I'm very tired, and I'm just gonna get more tired as this goes on. Cheers!
Cheers. Salute. Mm. Yeah, that's right. Because we are cheering the end of the Tomorrowverse, the end of the season. We are
End of
talking
season
about
4.
season
We've
4.
been
Can
doing
you
this for
believe it?
like a year and a
I
half.
know about that. Yeah. Yeah, because before we aired, we banked a couple episodes, which thank God, because I moved.
We baked
when we
almost
started.
an entire season.
That's very true.
Yeah,
That helped
which is
so
very
much.
helpful.
Yeah, because that's when I moved when those episodes came out, and that was very stressful. But here we are, end of season 4, and it's almost like a full circle moment too. Funny enough, where this kind of leads and how this ends. So it's very interesting. Today we're talking about Justice League, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Again, the trilogy, as we alluded to last week, all 3 movies. That's what, 4.5 hours worth of content. They're all on HBO Max. Neither of us have seen this. Fuck David Zaslav still. I'm glad these movies are on there because it made it way easier to find. And I could pause where I left off. I could do something else. I could spend an hour looking up Shelby Oaks lore for no reason for a movie that doesn't even come out for another month.
Go to bed at 1 a.m. and then come back to it later that day.
Yeah, exactly. This movie's, again, directed by Jeff Wamster, written by James Krieg. Studio, as always, is WB Animation. And let me clear all the palate before we start. Who stars in this?
You got a chunky paragraph there.
Just a little bit. And that's not even everyone. I tried.
No.
I was like, you have one line in the movie? I'm sorry, Ashley Birch. I can't put you in here. I can't do it. I can't rightfully so put you in. I love you. You'll always be my favorite Aloy and one of my favorite voice actors, but I can't put you on here. I can't. There's too many names. All right. We are starting with Jensen Ackles, Matt Bomber, Darren Criss, Sonia Caddick, Meg Donnelly, Jimmy Simpson, Zachary Quinto, Jonathan Adams, Ike Amande, Jeffrey Arnett, Zach Callison, shout out Steven Universe, Alexandria Daddario, Otto S. Meftif?
Mud.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Listen, you were awesome. It's terrific. Aldous Hodge, Matt Ryan returning, Cynthia Hamadi, Harry Shum Jr., Erica Ishii, who will, as of this week, is starring in Ghost of Yote, David Kay, Ashley Lathorpe, Matt Lantern, Liam McIntyre, Nolan North, Isia Rotaru, Keisha Sharp, Troy Baker, Wilfred L., Corey Stoll, Lou Diamond Phillips, Jennifer Hale, Mark Hamill, and finally the motherfucking GOAT in his final performance, and the movie's dedicated to him, the third part, our beloved and the quintessential
Rest
Batman,
in power,
Kevin motherfucking Conroy.
Hell yeah.
Now, again, Sly, I thought about putting all these actors as their characters in that comic book character thing. And I'm gonna give you a spoiler. I did it. I got halfway through copy and pasting and like editing to make it look pretty. I was like, nope. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. Correct.
With that, Sly, how do you want to approach this movie? Because we have 3 parts we're talking about. Do you want to talk of it as a whole? You want to talk about I mean, obviously, if you're here, most likely you watched all 3 movies, audience, right? I'm assuming you did.
That's fine. We're not judging.
Yeah, or you did it and you don't care.
I'm real fucking honest, Carlos. I don't remember them well enough to break them up part by part.
Hey, listen, then you know what? We'll just hit the plot recap and you can separate them as I write them. So, Sly, hit us with this extremely large plot recap.
Okay, enjoy me talking for a bit because this is literally an entire page of our notes document. Part 1. The Monitor must enlist heroes from all over the DC multiverse after its malevolent counterpart, the Anti-Monitor, wreaks havoc on it. Other heroes, including a new Green Lantern Corps, joins the battle as the Flash, sent by an enigmatic figure, arrives on Earth 3. Superman is devastated when Supergirl gives her life to defeat the Anti-Monitor. Are we sure this is part 1?
This is part 1. I copy and pasted it from IMDb.
All right.
Yeah.
When the heroes assemble on War World, Batman discloses a startling fact regarding the crisis. Crises the beginnings.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Yeah. AKA, that's literally all 3 movies. Compact that. I did not edit that. That's literally word for word from IMDb.
That's fine. IMDb, sometimes you save the day, and sometimes we question your life choices.
Yeah.
That's fine. Part 2. An endless army of shadow demons bent on the destruction of all reality swarms over our world and all parallel Earths. The only thing opposing them is the mightiest team of metahumans ever assembled. But not even the combined power of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, some of those are not metahumans, and all their fellow superheroes can slow down the onslaught of this invincible horde. What mysterious force is driving them? And how do the long-buried secrets of the Monitor and Supergirl threaten to crush our last events? No mention of. Never mind, that's in part 3, isn't it? Never mind. Ignore me. Part 3 has the team up of My Heart's Desire, aka the Bat Fam, that's fine. Now fully revealed as the ultimate threat to existence, the Anti-Monitor wages an unrelenting attack on the surviving Earths that struggle for survival in a pocket universe. Reads the synopsis for Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3. Quotation mark, one by one, these worlds and all their inhabitants are vaporized. On the planets that remain, even time itself is shattered, and all heroes from the past join the Justice League and their ragtag allies against the epitome of evil. But as they make their last stand, will the sacrifice of the superheroes be enough to save us all? And the part 1 and 2, part 2 and 3 were written by the same person, but obviously this person attempted to and poorly quoted exactly something else, and he's so plagiarizing something that we cannot give credit to. Unfortunate.
No, unfortunately. Shout out to Anonymous, though, for recapping basically all 3 movies for pretty good. But unfortunately, if you read that before watching...
But that's fine.
Yeah. As you were reading it, too, again, I just copy and paste. I looked at it, including a new Green Lantern Corps. I'm like, when? That doesn't happen in part 1. Like, wait a minute. Sly, hit us with this joke that are the comic book characters.
Too many goddamn characters. If it's important, you'll hear us talk about it.
Yep. Absolutely. So, with that being said, I think, and now I know you said you don't remember a lot of them. Don't get me wrong. Again, this is 4.5 hours of content. I think we should tackle the movies with our notes and then move on to the larger subject that is the roundup that we usually do. I think it kind of flows a little better that way.
Yeah.
So part 1, anything specifically you wanted to shout out? Because one of the things, Iris was the linchpin of this whole movie. She was wonderful. She was amazing. One of the cool things I thought while watching part 1 was all our complaints for the Tomorrowverse were answered, right?
Yeah.
We filled in literally every gap and every question that we had in this universe.
Every single question that we have been posing for the past 6 episodes were answered.
Yeah.
Right here. They were like, we know we left all these loose threads. Here's our time to, tie them back up.
So the question...
Not a great storytelling method.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I say.
It was a choice.
Does it redeem itself for the choices here? Because the question now becomes, was this their choice the whole time, or was this an answer to a question we posed? Similar to, funny enough, I mentioned this last week. My worry for these three movies were we're gonna get big hits. We're gonna get all the hits from the Crisis comic book event, and like with their own spin on it, and then get a bunch of nostalgia stuff, a la Rise of Skywalker, right? Episode 9 of Star Wars, where that is just a nostalgia trip. Nothing new gets added to it. Emperor Palpatine comes back. It's a lot. Did I have fun with the movie? Sure. But there's a lot of stuff that's just like, what the fuck do you mean? How is he cloned? I thought you couldn't clone Jedi. All this stuff. Now, speaking as a Star Wars fan, I know that there's supplemental materials, and that's why we have answers. Rogue One answers the Death Star question. You know, Solo answers some other question, I guess. I don't know. I like that movie.
Not a question
Granted,
we were asking.
exactly. You know, Mandalorian solves some of the cloning questions. There's a lot. And these do kind of touch upon those things. What do you think of the story structure of like Flash jumping in between times and seeing his like scattered memory, and that's our way of like reconciling these huge leaps story-wise?
Here's the thing. I love a nonlinear story. I love it. I eat that shit up. Comma, however, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a tad excessive. I thought it was a really cool mechanic. I thought it could have been deployed very well. But basically the entire movie was entirely nonlinear and jumping back and forth between these story arcs. And here's the thing about movies. This is the movie review podcast, which is kind of an absurd thing to say about us as humans, at least me personally. Yeah. But my question always is, does it work as a standalone movie? Like, I don't care what context it was created in. I don't care what context you have going into it. Could somebody, barring something that's like literally part 1, part 2, part 3, that's a bit of an exception. Could somebody start this movie with zero prior knowledge and at least have a decent enough time? Like, they don't have to get everything. They don't have to follow everything. It's okay to have stories that are just for a specific audience. But would they have a good time? Would they enjoy themselves? Is this a movie that would make sense to them? Probably not. And, you know, if we're kicking off a trilogy that is going to be the end of this entire era of storytelling, I kind of want it to be a tad more approachable. I really liked the idea. I really liked the concept. I thought the execution, for the most part, was very good. It was just too much with too little context to be able to ground ourselves in what we were seeing. And the thing is, like, yes, it's following Barry, and he's jumping back and forth and doesn't have a lot to ground himself, but he has the context in which he has existed as a human.
Yeah.
And we don't have that context. And so the story has to provide something to us for us to be as grounding as the character we're following is at any moment. And I think that's what we were missing in this movie. Other than that, I had a great time, honestly.
Yeah, it's weird because as I started doing the answer thing, I was like, the immediate question popped in my head again, like I mentioned, is this because, you know, they saw that they were messing up in the beginning, so we have to answer these questions, or was this planned from the beginning?
I think it was.
And the other funny thing is when you watch all three parts and you see all the touchstones on literally every short we watched in our last, you know, set of bonus episodes. Those were all shorts. Another short compilation should have been done mid this season, or mid, like, while these movies were coming out, to explain Amazo, the Justice League stuff, you know, why they were formed, how they were formed in this universe. Kind of touch upon maybe Bruce not adopting Dick in this universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's
I love
these
that we
things.
got that scene. I thought it
Yeah,
was really good and powerful. But yeah, I think there should have been at least, I think 3 would be the perfect number. 3
yeah,
shorts that exist within the Tomorrowverse specifically to flesh out these stories that kind of get just shoehorned under the wire into this trilogy.
yeah. You ever hear? I think famously, Topher Grace, just
Mhm.
as a the big old nerd that he is, and he has directed things in the past and edited stuff in the past. He's edited all of the first 6 Star Wars movies to be like one cohesive, like shit, like super long, like sit
Mhm.
down, like maybe 5-hour thing where it like cuts a lot of the junk out. Um,
Right.
and people watch it. He has it. He saved it and stuff. And he does it like screenings at his house, obviously, because it's not legal. I would
Right.
love to see something
It's
like that for
within
the
fair
tomorrow.
use as long as you're not
True.
selling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see something like that for the Tomorrowverse that adds these parts where they line up, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
because I think this universe, if we had those where they belong, could go down as like, wow, this was a really good, you know, continuation of what we had with the, you know, the animated movie universe that we had previous season. And obviously, we know by the end of part 3 that this is a continuation. This is the next phase of that universe. There is a reason why all this stuff has changed so much. So I think if we had those parts in where they belonged, I think that might have fit better, or even shorts, as I mentioned. Um, it it was jarring, but I think in the choice of it being jarring and it's us seeing the world through Barry's eyes, right? We're seeing what Barry's experiencing, how he's experiencing things, seeing him meet Green Arrow for the first time, and then that lead directly to, you know, the end credit scene of Batman Hush, where he shows up on
Mhm.
Halloween with
Yeah.
Oliver Queen, and now we know why he's there.
Mhm.
Why? Because Superman's in the, you know, Arrow car,
Yeah.
the Arrowmobile, and
Yeah.
you know, things like that. And then we get also get more time with these characters, right? We get more Jimmy Simpson, who is wonderful as Oliver Queen. We get more Darren Chris. We get more Jensen, who is really, sadly enough, where we're at the end of this universe, it's like, man, he really is his own Batman, and it really works. It's really working. I stopped
Funny
caring.
enough, I thought he was really good in part 1 and part 3, but part 2, he was really Jensening.
Mm.
Like, I heard his voice and I wasn't like, "That's Batman." I heard that his voice, I was like, "That's Jensen Ackles."
That's because he had more emotion. You know,
Yeah.
he's being manipulated by Psycho Pirate.
Yeah.
But there were some
He's
cool things
having
here.
feelings.
Yeah. Seeing this universe's Professor Ivo, seeing Amazo and how he interacts with the world.
Azo.
Amazo was great. Uh,
My
it was,
heart.
oh my God, it was such a great thing. Even the little things, again, like seeing Dick Grayson for a little bit, seeing how sadly traumatized this boy was. And this Bruce, I know there's like IMDb stuff that mentioned like, oh, maybe it's an echo of seeing, you know, in the previous universe, like there's something in the back of his brain that knows that in the previous universe, he saw his whole family die in front of him, like his newfound family. That he's like, I'm not building a newfound family. That's stupid. And he has a line
Mhm.
which I love when he talks to Earth, whatever, Dick Grayson, who's like a grown up Robin, who's played amazingly by Zach Callison from Steven Universe
Mhm.
fame. And he
Great
goes,
performance.
he's like, that is a terrible idea. Of Bruce, his Bruce
Something
raising
about,
him.
like, that was horribly irresponsible or
Yeah,
whatever, yeah.
it's such a great line, and they pause for perfect
Mhm,
comedic timing because it's also serious at the same time, but you can laugh if you're a real Batman fan, like you're a real hardcore one. But like
mhm,
that's honestly, when you think about it,
mhm.
yeah, it is. You know, like
Correct.
it is. We love Dick Grayson, we love Jason Todd, we love Tim Drake and all this stuff, but god damn, it is horribly
That man
irresponsible
is
for
so
Batman to this.
traumatized and does not need to be adopting children left and
Hey,
right.
this Batman knows. This Batman knows what's up. He's like,
Uh-huh.
that's a bad idea. Nah, I can't do that.
Mhm.
And Alfred's like, give me babies. He's like, oh, chill, 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 chill. Hold on. Um, you know, another thing too. There's a little background things that I love, like to flesh out the world. When Amazo, no, I'm sorry. When Bruce is trying to prove, like, how do you like? Ollie's like, how do you know it's me? Like, It could be anyone. And he shows him like tripping on the alley. He's like, knows his mannerisms and stuff. He has a bio and he says, known alias or known allies, vigilante, and they name like the comic book vigilante. And then it says Speedy. And I think, I don't know. So did you get hype and then immediately like get upset, or did you get hype and then it was like, oh, really interesting choice? Because it's not Roy.
Yeah, it was hype and then,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, because
What's the
in this
reaction?
universe, his Speedy is his son, Connor Hawk,
Yeah.
which is an interesting
Which
dynamic.
Connor Hawk, I have feelings about him. We'll talk about that next week.
Very true.
We'll get there.
Very true. But it's an interesting choice because it says to a lot what the universe is, right? So we have a Green Arrow who has a son, if all things are normal at least, and he chooses to have that son by his side, knows about him early enough, is building a family with him, and has him on the field with him, which is the complete opposite of what Bruce is doing. And it's a huge dichotomy.
And they're both in contrast to their typical portrayal.
Yeah, for most people,
It's
I mean,
such
this
an
might be
interesting
one
one,
of your next viewing of Green Arrow, right? Post Arrowverse.
Right.
And that Arrow, again, Stephen Amell did what he
Very
he
different
could.
Arrow.
It is Batman in green. That's what he is. He's a green Batman. For all intents and purposes. He barely cracks jokes.
Grimdark.
Yeah.
Same personality, same proclivity towards adopting children and then promptly forgetting about them. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So for this universe to be like, no, he is a son, and he's lighthearted, and he is trying and all this stuff, and it's wonderful to see. But that was one that I saw. I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. And then they name drop. We're talking about children in this universe. They name drop Wally, and we see Wally in this universe. We don't know if he has powers. No, I don't think so, because we never see him later on.
No.
But it was nice to see Wally and see Barry like interact with this kid and like want this family. It was really, really cool. I would love to see a straightforward 20-minute short that is the Earth 3 section. I think that might have been really compelling, just to not see broken up. And again, going back to like, would this fit if they were shorts? I think it would, and I don't think we would have had 3 movies to watch. I think we would have. We spaced these out correctly.
I could do a part 1, part 2. Like, that's fine. There's a
Which
lot of content to get through.
Yeah, we're gonna do that next season. That's gonna be a 3-hour epic, and that's all intents and purposes. I don't know if that movie sticks the landing, but if we get to watch it, this should be a 3-hour epic.
I haven't seen it because we were gonna watch it for the show, so I was waiting until we recorded.
Same.
And then we never did that.
No, that's why I got shifted off to season 5, aka Kitchen Sink.
Yep. I'm so excited for Kitchen Sink.
Yeah, oh, man, it's gonna be good. One of my favorite things was Lois's Iris's Bane of Honor. I thought that was adorable.
Yeah, they were so precious.
Yeah. The 3D animation still not great. Still not great throughout all these films.
Correct.
I don't know what it is.
It was rough.
Yeah. And
it was also 2024, so people aren't paying their animators and they're overworking them and not giving them the time and or resources they need to succeed.
Yeah.
Did we already say fuck David Zaslav? I'm gonna say it again.
Fuck David Zaslav, man. Fuck him hard.
And fast. Damn.
Yeah, hard and fast. Yeah. I thought it was really interesting in this to combine the character that's Harbinger with Kara. Obviously, in part 2, we get an explanation why.
Let's talk about it.
But seeing that and then seeing her like not depower, but like be Harbinger herself and become Kara, I was like, oh shit. It easily could have been Lila Michaels, right? We know that's a known name in the Arrowverse, and in her code name is Harbinger in that universe as a nod to who she is in the comics. But I think already having this new Dr. Light, quote unquote, this good guy comic book character that is Dr. Light in the comics, but seeing her as the new person on the team, I think that was enough of a new character. The other one that I was really, really shocked by, and I didn't know until part 2, so we can spoil a little bit of that, was Psycho Pirate. I was like, oh, cool, Psycho Pirate. I'm like, man, why does this motherfucker look familiar? And it wasn't until part 2 where you find out, yeah, that wasn't Maxwell Lord in Justice Society World War II. That was Psycho Pirate. Psycho Pirate was the guy messing with the Nazis and the Atlanteans.
Mhm.
And when we get his full backstory, again, we're talking about part 1, but we're putting in part 2.
That section was wild.
It was
Let me
wild.
tell you.
He continues to work with the Nazis. Okay, let's talk about this. He's a British man.
First of all, before we start, fuck Nazis. Punch Nazis. We don't like Nazis. Nazis are bad. We hate Nazis.
Yeah, just that's the tagline. No fascists. DC graduates, no fascists.
DC graduates, proudly Antifa.
Yeah. Anti-Nazi. It feels weird that we got to talk about this, but anti-Nazi.
It's weird that we got a disclaimer, but we're living in the year of our Lord 2025, and it's rough out here.
When he's given his exposition in part 2, we meet him briefly in part 1. I was like, oh, he's an important character in the Crisis. That's cool. And then part 2, I want to talk about it now just because it's so interesting.
Yeah, go for it.
We find out he's Earth 2's mental manipulator guy. He's a psycho pirate, but he messed with the Nazis. He's like, oh, they're so easy to control. I'm like, okay, I see where you're going.
They're brainwashed.
Yeah, they're idiots. Yeah, I got you. All Nazis stupid. I got you. And I was like, see where you're going. But then he continues to work with them. And I was like, oh, well, you're again, self-goal. I see where you're going.
Because he wants power.
Yeah. And then he goes to Atlantis and then makes Arthur then work with the Nazis. And then I start putting them together. I'm like, wait, this motherfucker never stopped working with the Nazis. We're like, what the? You are a Nazi. No, you're just a Nazi.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's just a Nazi. Because, spoiler alert, if you work with Nazis, you're a Nazi. If you collaborate with Nazis, you're a Nazi. If you are passive and do not take action against Nazis making Nazi actions in your vicinity, you're a Nazi.
Yeah. This made me think of, and again, I feel like every episode, because it is a big universe that we already talked about before, and we have a previous, spiritual successor that we are to it. It made me think of the MCU. It made me think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I mentioned this before with Brett Dalton.
We'll talk about the MCU in a bit. I'll get there.
Oh, yeah. Especially in part 1. Because we both had the same idea. When I was thinking about the MCU, that immediately popped in my head when we were digging in Psycho Pirate's story. And I was like, oh, he's using the Nazis. He's going to turn on them. Obviously, they're bad people. He's like, no. I'm like, dude, you're just a Nazi. It made me think of Quake and Brett Dalton's character. I forget what his character's name is. Grant Ward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he reveals himself to be Hydra.
Grant motherfucking Ward.
And she's like, you're a Nazi. And he's like, I'm not a Nazi. Hydra are not Nazis. They use the Nazis. And she's like, you're a Nazi. And I was like, for the longest time, because there was a separation for the longest time, I was like, I mean, there's science, I get it. The MCU one is not. And then it started going to Nazi territory. I was like, Ward, listen, you might not be a Nazi, but you collaborate with a lot of Nazis. Okay.
Which makes you a Nazi.
Yeah. So that's immediately what I was with Psycho Pirate. And then Brett Dalton pops back up in this episode as multiple characters. I'm like, hey, man, speaking of Nazis, not that you are, sir, but you played an adjacent character in the MCU. There you go.
Yeah,
it was a full circle moment.
Incredible.
Speaking of full circle, we both saw a blockbuster movie that was not James Gunn's Superman movie. It came out a few weeks after, called Fantastic Four First Steps. And we both had the same note for part 1. And I was like,
part 2. It was part 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do show it there. Yeah. I said only because I saw this, but the plot of the vibrational towers reminds me of Fantastic Four First Steps.
Right. Yeah. It was almost beat for beat in some areas. Yeah. But that's we'll get to that. I had one final note on the part 1. 2 final notes. We both immediately clocked finally who the old guy was as
Yeah.
Constantine. Fucking Constantine. I think we had theorized about that previously.
Yeah.
But to get it thrown in our face was nice. And then at the very end, when Bruce thought he was like dying or whatever, he
Oh,
called Robin and
yeah.
Huntress. And
Yeah.
I'm so normal about this.
Oh man, that
So
was
normal.
so rough. I was like the fact that I was like, it is he doing that to give them a closure because they didn't get to say bye to their Bruce, or in hindsight, is he doing that because he also wants a family?
Both.
Yeah, right. That's what I was
Both is
thinking.
true. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
yeah. Go ahead. I was
It's
gonna
like
say,
most of Huntress's daddy issues are because she did not get closure with her Bruce.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he could
Rough.
tell that
It's
Dick
right.
Dick's constantly out loud saying like the quiet parts that should be in his head. He's like, yeah, I had a
Yeah.
Bruce, he was awesome.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
his
I love
Metal
that for
Alchemist
him.
thing. It's like, it's like fuck, I never had dad. Fuck dads. He's like, I had a dad. He was fucking awesome. Like that was Dick Grayson. That was Dick Grayson during this whole film. Like, I had
Correct.
dad. He was pretty fucking cool, man.
He was pretty great.
Yeah, my Bruce was pretty cool, man. He let me drop the bathroom every once in a while. You know, that's what it made me feel like. One last thing, well, two things before we move on to part two. There was a point where we see, you know, Barry kind of I don't know if it's in my notes, but Barry's wedding to Iris, we see that memory. We see Kara show up to be like, hey, I need y'all to come with me. He's like, two things. If you just wait, Batman and everyone's gonna show up. You usually get all of us. Secondly, we don't mind. Do you mind if
have
we
my first dance first?
Yeah, can I have my wedding real quick? Like, because technically it is time and space. So like, as long as we go before this universe is destroyed, we should be good, right? And the fact that she lets him have it. There's another thought that came. Two things that popped up during the wedding. One was like, can you imagine just being a normal ass dude that somehow didn't know Barry Allen's the Flash, and you show up, it was like, yo, is that international fucking supermodel Mari McCabe doing the wedding for Barry and I? Is that fucking Lois Lane from Metropolis? Is that Bruce Wayne? What the fuck is Bruce Wayne doing here? Hey, you know, is that Green Lantern? That's the Green Lantern don't wear a mask.
You know, if CSI like journalist dude really had some great connections.
Yeah.
Damn.
Can you imagine drinking at the bar and then you see fucking Shira walk by? It's like, does that bitch got wings?
Yeah.
That motherfucker got wings. What is going? Barry, are you the Flash? Yeah, I thought you knew. No, man, I didn't know. You're wildly confident about that. About me, I did not know. I'm not gonna tell anybody, but goddamn. Also, a final thing was I love John and Shira sharing a dance in this universe. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
maybe.
I love them. I love them so much.
I like to think it's like let's say like in every universe I'll find you. It's like the Doctor Strange quote, like every universe I'll find you. And then finally Brainy, rest in peace to him and the Legion. Because there's no future, because we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, they unfortunately vanish in thin air. And his final words to her, honestly, I loved you. Oh,
I'm so normal about this too. No, I felt worse for Kara than for Brainy. Sorry, Brainy.
Yeah. She's gone through so much in so little time. You know? Like, goddamn. Moving on to part two. What would you like to touch upon?
First of all, Jimbo was a strong opening.
Wow.
Damn.
I know it's not, I guess,
nowhere.
his Gordon, but still.
Yeah, still, it's a Gordon.
It's a rough. Yeah.
And then Jensen was big all angsty. I don't remember what Batman was going through after that. Probably just still the trauma of it all. And then we get to see my boy, and he had a funny note, and he
Mine?
Yeah.
Was it the Terry motherfucking McGinnis?
No,
Or
he
you thought,
said, "Oh no, Crocs flies either. I'm
oh
gonna
yeah,
be sad."
yep.
A bit of both. Mostly hype though. Love my boy. Um, Terry motherfucking McGinnis also correct.
I was so
Because
hyped.
I wrote we get all the bats, every
Yep.
single one of them for the most part. Cassandra Cain, my beloved, I love you so much. We get 95% of all the bats.
Yeah. We get Barbara, but yeah, I
We
would
get
prefer.
Babs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get Steph or Cass, which
Yes.
is fine.
We get
They
that
hate
Damien.
women. I see how it is.
We got
We
Damien.
get we got Damien, we got Dick. We got what's
Huntress.
his face?
Yeah, we got yeah.
Huntress, Babs,
Terry.
Terry, and then did we get Batwing in this?
We
Or
did
did
for
I
like a brief
completely make
moment.
that
No,
up?
it was a brief
For
moment
like
in
2
like part
seconds.
3. Yeah, that we see we see
Okay.
a Batwing. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that. Yeah, I don't know if that's the DC AMU one. Like similar to Damien is the Damien from DC
Right.
AMU that we dealt with. Zach
That's what I'm
Callison
assuming.
is taking over for Dick in this role because he,
Mhm.
you know, his voice is obviously pitched
Right.
up, and you know, I don't know if that kid had any issues. I'm assuming he may have had some issues post Steven Universe and doing some live action stuff. I think he's fine now,
Maybe.
obviously,
Right.
but I know he did some music for a little bit, and that one song was a fucking banger. Um,
Good for him.
but yeah, I know he doesn't do
But
like a
yeah,
lot of cons and shit. So
none of the middle children, unfortunately.
no
For
Tim,
me.
no Jason.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. All the middle kids were forgotten about
Uh-huh.
as per
Uh-huh.
usual. That's fine. Uh,
It was interesting, right?
and
Yeah.
then I took no notes for like a good chunk of the movie because it was literally just alternating between how Kara became Harbinger and
Yeah.
how Nazi dude became the pirate psycho pirate.
Yeah, the
And
movie was
that was
basically
it. That
yeah,
was the movie.
part 2 was basically, hey, you found out the secret history of the Tomorrowverse and
Huh.
a lot of the stuff that's gonna happen and what happens to Barry and how he saves
Huh.
kind of the universe for the most part, you know, to a certain
Right.
degree. Because he's one of the major players in what's gonna happen in the crisis. Now, here's the other 3. Here's the history of the Monitor for a little bit. Here's the Anti-Monitor. Here is
Huh.
Psycho Pirate and who he really was this whole time, how important he is to the story and his powers. And then here's Kara, and a secret history, excuse me, you didn't know was that there was a stop in between her hurtling toward Earth.
Right.
There's a reason why she goes directly to Earth after this, and we see that little missing part of her history. And I thought it was interesting. I felt bad for the Monitor for the most part. You could tell he was starting to grow a conscience. Spectre kept fucking with him the whole time. He was like, "Oh, now you have them." Like, listen,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
if everyone's made in your boss's image, you should have
Mhm.
known ahead of time, dude. Again, we're talking about he's the Judeo-Christian God's wrath,
Yeah.
right? And we have other deities in the
Correct.
universe. We know Zeus is a thing, you know.
Correct.
We know all these other
Yeah.
things are a thing.
Judeo-Christian God. And by that we mean Old Testament God, because once we get to New Testament, God gets a little wonky.
Children mellow you
But
out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I get it.
yeah, true, honest.
Yeah. I don't
But
smite
yeah,
as much as I
here's
used
the
to.
thing. You're not a fan of smiting
Nah,
anymore.
not anymore.
You
Not
mellow it
anymore.
out.
Every certain people,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean?
The like 7 deadly plagues or whatever.
Yeah, some crickets here
All
and
that
there.
good stuff.
You know,
Yeah.
some
Uh-huh.
locusts.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Yeah. But if everybody's creating in that image, there's some meddling going on.
Yeah.
Some massive meddling. That's all I have to say about that.
Because he's also like really mean to the Monitor, be like, "Oh, you don't have heart, you don't have hope," and all this stuff. So I'm like, dude, he's been living for a millennia. You can teach him a lesson without bullying him into the lesson. Like that's kind of fucked up.
Right.
And again, it goes back to the Old Testament God kind of complex of it all, right? Like it's like, hey man, is this your boss talking, or is this you? Are you just a dick? Because your Earth 2 is a little rough. We find out he's the Spectre of Earth 2, but he's like a omniversal
Yeah.
being. And
Yeah.
he's weird, right? Because at one point, we know from our history of the shorts that Constantine
Uh-huh.
posed DCAMU, and we'll get to what he did in part 3. He gets off generously going to the House of Mystery.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Judeo-Christian God,
It's a cakewalk.
yeah, doesn't let him go to hell, even after
Uh-huh.
meddling with the multiverse and breaking his design and his construction, right? Ideally. Tasked the Spectre with like, hey, you know what? Technically, he kind of saved the universe. I'll allow
Kinda.
him to live the rest of his days, not in his new universe to fuck with it, because he will meddle somehow, some way, shape, or form. Because that's what he is. He's a fucking cockroach. Let's send him to the House of Mystery, put him on another plane of existence, and you know what? Because the house can do whatever he wants, he'll have a happy life. And this man is so tortured and such a piece of shit that he constantly kills himself in ways and ways and ways, and thinks it's other people's fault, because of course it is. It's John Constantine. He can't, think that his own suffering is because of him. And then he forces a way out of what could have been a heaven for him, and is confronted by the Spectre, who we meet in these movies, and it's like, hey, fuckface, we gave that to you so you have like a happy ending. What happened? Well, they kept killing me. That's how much you hate yourself? Jesus. Okay. You know what? Fuck
You
you then.
kept killing you.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. If you're
Yeah.
not gonna take our gift, then guess what? You get to live through all of
You're out.
eternity of this new multiverse, just witnessing everything, asshole. You're a pariah. You're the pariah.
Gradual fuckulation.
It is, yeah. You've been a piece of shit this whole time in your universe. You destroyed it. You fucked with it. You shattered time and space. And guess what you did? We gave you an out. We're like, here's a happy ending. Be with your one true love. No, God forbid.
God forbid.
Fuck you. You fucked this city, sir.
I have one criticism of part 2. And I don't even remember what it was or who it was. But at some point, there was somebody who was grabbing onto something to like charge it up or whatever, and like put power through some sort of thing with handles.
Oh, I'm trying to think. That is in part 2, isn't it? Yes. What's your name?
There's handles, right? And there's like this hilt or like guard. Sorry, guard's the word I'm looking for. So handle, hilt, and then bars to machine, right? And so it's designed for somebody to grab on for some reason, and then he's overcharging this or whatever. Whoever the fuck this was, again, don't remember. I just remember them grabbing the top of the guard with their fingers. Like pinching the top. It's handle shaped. Why not grab the handle?
Yeah.
Everyone's just like pinching the top to grab on. Like grabbing the top. I was losing my mind.
Was it during the commandy part? It had to be during where like all the shadow demons are like attacking.
Shadow daddy?
Sorry, I was thinking about all the books Fee and Tarry. It has to be like during that moment, because I think everyone's like desperate to like turn on their machines at some point because there's another fucking antimatter wave coming. I will say Jetson is very Jetson in this part. I do agree with you, because you're seeing a Batman with emotion. He's like angry and stuff like that. So he's like letting loose a little more. He's like, able to slip into his Dean persona almost. I do think there's something
very much giving Dean.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting when this is when the Psycho Pirate is just he gets powered up by the monitor, works with the anti-monitor, and is projecting hate and fear throughout the multiverse, or like what we have, collectively as the remaining worlds. Bruce and the Bat family just fight each other, and I thought there was something really poetic, and I don't know why I thought specifically with these two, but something about Terry and Damian fighting each other felt very poetic. Now, obviously, we have canonically and biologically 3 of Bruce's children. Like, he doesn't know, but he knows of 2 of them. And I don't know what Terry is at this point in the timeline. He's bigger, so I'm assuming this is the Terry we see at the end of that Justice League episode wants a future where he finds out who his real father is, technically, like DNA wise.
Yeah.
I thought there was something
Yeah.
poetic about Damian and Terry fighting each other. Because
I assumed it was the one from Return of the Joker, honestly.
it could be, or yeah, it could be further in the timeline where like because he's a bigger stature, so I'm assuming he's not
Yeah.
the slim teenager anymore. I think he's like the more bulked up, like maybe 30-year-old, like Terry McGinnis, or like late 20s Terry McGinnis, who now is finding out like he's about to propose to Dana. He found out that the Batman Beyond program, Fantastic was gonna kill his parents, all that stuff. Spoilers for that fucking amazing episode. You didn't watch it. But I thought it was something poetic because the fights that we do get Dick and Helena fighting each other, and I thought that was also poetic because, and I didn't write that as a note, but I think it's poetic because they both come from a loving relationship with Bruce, right? There's not really a lot of this Dick doesn't have really a fighty relationship with Bruce. He's still like old enough where he should be Nightwing and he's Robin still. So that kind of says like where he is in his relationship with Bruce.
A very different
Yeah.
relationship. I did just scrub through the entire movie, and I believe it's the Monitor when he's like trying to power something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. To give Kara power. Is that what it is?
Correct. It was the transfer of power. Yeah. And instead of grabbing the handles,
which makes sense. Yeah, he's like pinches. Yeah, I thought
bonkers.
But I thought it was crazy that they have a love relationship and they're fighting each other. And then these two people who, Damian often feels like an outsider because, he was raised by his mom, he didn't get to grow up.
Very different set of morals.
Exactly. From, Dick and Jason. I mean, even Jason and Tim in that sense, right? So it is interesting to see that. I think him fighting Terry, who grew up with a loving family, but not Bruce.
Tim had the closest to Bruce's morals, to be honest.
Yeah. Tim's always the one who's like the heir apparent to who should be Batman.
Yeah.
Like
correct.
Even though he doesn't want it, because every time he sees himself as Batman, he's like a horrible Batman. Like he's like like a bad guy. So it's like, should I? No.
It's like how all of the PhD candidates become super villains.
That's more to speak about Gotham's OSHA. That's an OSHA violation.
Sometimes you just know too much.
Yeah. I also wanted to shout out specifically in this part, because this is where we get a lot of talking from the Spectre and we see him for the first time. Lou Diamond Phillips, man. He's an actor I've loved since I was a kid. Seeing him in La Bamba, the story about oh my god, Richie Valley and stuff like that. And I've seen him in so many other movies, comedies, something about his voice really lent itself to the Spectre. And I thought he brought like a really good performance as the Spectre in this. Other than Kara utterly killing and obliterating the Monitor, did you want to touch about anything in part 2 before we move on to part 3?
Yeah, actually, I loved part 2.
I did too.
It might be my favorite, but as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this must have been such a disappointment. After part 1, action-packed, like a fan service, it's hitting all the beats. I was like, damn, did people hate part 2? Because I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah, because you're right. Part 1 is a lot of action, a lot of Justice League, a lot of like missing pieces. But like I'd like 2 more than 1 because it was a slowdown. Let's explain a little more about Kara, and she's been part of this universe a little more than we thought. Let's explain who Psycho Pirate really is. You've seen him before. That didn't feel, the Psycho Pirate thing didn't feel forced like the Barry kind of showing all the missing pieces of the universe part. Like that felt like it was like a plan where Barry's felt like, hey, we didn't answer a lot of things. We should probably do it in this movie, and also, kill off Barry at the same time. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess so.
I do have a definitive answer to the question I just posed.
Oh, Yeah.
Going off of the very scientific research of IMDb uh scores
Mhm.
of movies, part 1 is hitting a nice 6.2 out of 10 with
Okay.
9.3 reviews.
Okay.
9.3 thousand,
Oh,
you
okay. I
call
was like, man, that's not a
it.
lot.
Part 2. Wait, no, hold on. I'm gonna go to part 3 first. Part 3,
Mhm.
6.1 out of 10 with 5.2 thousand
Oh
reviews.
yeah, it's a little messy. Yeah.
Part 2, 5.6 out of 10 with 6,000 reviews.
Okay. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
people were not a fan.
Yeah.
That being said, again, probably my favorite out of the 3.
Honestly, I agree. I agree. I absolutely agree. I think two was a very strong movie because I think we needed the setup because two really feels where this crisis thing is really starting to kick off, right? Like we get a lot of we joking about War World being like set up for crisis. Well, part one felt like set
Uh-huh.
up for crisis, but like
Yeah.
a capable version of that, right? Like I felt like what we
Uh-huh.
got in part one was like, hey, here's a good movie with an interesting narrative style that is also set up for the rest of this event.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay. And then you get a decent enough conclusion, like for the most part, like the horrible way is done. Now they have a way to kind of combat it, but they still need to figure out the overall mystery. Okay, let's move on to part two. Well, here's the players, here's their backstories. These three are going to be super important. We kill one of the most important characters in this series for that reason,
Uh-huh.
and now we're left with like the dust that is left with this, right? Then we move on.
I think you could watch part 2 as a standalone.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Because I think they
I think it
recap
would work.
part one
Yeah,
enough.
they do.
Honestly, though, where we were complaining about War World being like, here's like a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing, and
Uh-huh.
then some like service just to get you to the next movie.
Uh-huh.
I feel like part one's the same, but like good, like
Right.
well
Yeah.
done.
A
You
good
know, like
version of that. Yeah.
like here's the formation of the
Correct.
Justice League. Here's this. Here's their first fight with Amazo. Here's Barry's relationship with Iris.
Uh-huh.
Here's this. Here's that. And
Mhm.
then it's like, hey, by the way, the crisis is happening. It's like, oh shit, hey, we got here. That's pretty cool. Like that was fun. Um,
Fully
part
agree.
3,
Uh-huh.
um, is interesting. Because I was shocked at the beginning of it where we jump ahead 8 months. At the end of part 2, we get, the monitors fail safe, which is I release all my multiversal energy and shoot you guys into a very, I guess it's kind of niche concept within the DC universe. It's more commonplace, especially post New 52, but the bleed, which has been a
Right.
thing. It's been a thing for a while. It's part of the Wildstorm universe originally.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, please
It's
fact check me below. But I believe it's part of the Wildstorm universe. Then at some point when they were trying to cross
when they
those
got
like
absorbed.
yeah
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
comic book lines in like the late 90s, early 2000s, somehow Kyle Rayner could travel through the bleed and stuff. Um, so the bleed was an interesting concept to showcase, and then it was funny because we get a lot of, as I mentioned throughout these episodes, like, man, that's an interesting choice. Man, that's an interesting choice. And they all come back to this one movie, like the Miracle Machine, the Bleed, and shit like that. I was like, oh, okay. Did you guys make this an idea? Like, um, the other thing was Earth 2 Wonder Woman surviving
Mm,
an annihilation of
mhm.
a whole universe and being the only being
Ouch.
to survive. And I mean, she might be the strongest version of Wonder Woman we've ever
Oh yeah.
witnessed, right? Because
She's immortal,
yeah,
like straight up. And she is a god,
yeah,
straight up. And she withstood the absolute devastation of an entire planet.
yeah, she withstood an antimatter wave for the most
Yeah.
part, and then as well withstands the vacuum of space, which is like
That one's
what
more understandable. A lot of these folks withstand the vacuum of space for an unreasonable amount of time.
fair, yeah, yeah, it is comic book bullshit. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, I like 3 a lot. I like how we start. Um,
Is this where I have to admit my viewing experience for 3?
I mean, if you want to, you can hide it if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'll admit it. I watched part 1 and part 2 back to back.
Mhm.
And then I went to work. And then I got home from work. And I sat down to watch this movie. And it was midnight. And I had a glass of wine. And I had to be up at 7 a.m. the next morning. And so I laid down. And I watched this movie for a good chunk of it. And then Superman was doing his thing, and it was fun, and I like closed my eyes, but I was still listening, and I was like kind of following along. And then the credits started rolling, and I went, huh, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't remember anything that happened in the last 20 minutes of this movie.
which
And I'm gonna
is
be so honest, I planned to go back to it, and I did not.
listen,
I simply did
it's
not.
4.5 hours worth of content. I do not blame you. I did watch the whole thing, and I managed to squeeze it in at
Uh-huh.
some point today. Even though I could have had no issue with it if I was not, again, looking up
Mhm.
everything for Shelby Oaks. That was not a joke. I literally spent way too much. um, am I happier? Yes, I cannot wait for that horror film. This is a DC podcast that I really needed to do the homework. So this felt like high school again. Typical Carlos. Um, this I think well you watched the bulk of it. I think the only thing you really missed was the
Oh, no.
MacGuffin to
Hold
finish
on.
this story.
I forgot a key point of this. It was midnight. I watched the movie. A half of the movie. I watched 43 minutes and 33 seconds of this movie. And then it was 1 a.m. and I went to bed. And then I woke up at 7 a.m. I went to the barn. I did my thing at the barn. I got home. I got dressed. I went to a Kraken game because it was the first preseason game.
That's right.
I
right.
watched the Kraken game. It was very fun. It was a bunch of babies battling each other on knife shoes. Great time. I then got home after the Kraken game. Again, very late. And then I sat down to watch the second half of this movie, of which I got halfway through. So, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie before I closed my eyes.
Honestly, I'm thinking the ouch moment with the heartbreak is the
Uh-huh.
big death, right? That's
Yeah,
alluded to the cover. Okay.
probably.
Yeah. So honestly, you didn't miss that much. It was a lot of like last minute MacGuffins that kind of helps everything. Stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. And then
Uh-huh.
some
Correct.
very good callbacks, which we'll get into. But yeah, I think this is interesting. We haven't talked about this. One of my notes in part 3 was I love how important Mr. Terrific is. And he is, for us watching this year, 2025, is
I
having a
love
year.
Mr. Terrific.
I always
He's
loved
having a
Mr.
great
Terrific.
year.
So
Big fan.
this
Yeah,
was
he's
like,
always
oh
been
man.
cool.
Yeah, minus Arrowverse. And that's
Like the
not
coolest. Yeah.
that's not Echo
Yeah,
Kellum's fault.
that's
I know
yeah, Arrowverse problem.
yeah, that's not your fault, Echo Kellum. I think I was really excited for your portrayal of Mr. Terrific. The suit was awesome. I love that somehow you had cornrows, like you just had like braids and stuff ready when you were in battle, and then when you were out of battle, you have this beautiful fro. I don't know how that works.
Uh-huh.
Someone said it was the T
It was
spheres.
beautiful movie magic.
Yeah, someone said the T
We love
spheres
to see
did,
it.
which I love the idea of them. Just T spheres doing cornrows, hilarious to me. Especially growing up in North Philly, like it just be oh my god, untapped potential. So no like hate toward Echo Kellum. I think he did great for what he was given. It's just unfortunately the Arrowverse is kind of messy at times.
Yeah, he was
That being
given
said,
jack shit.
yeah. Mr. Terrific, great character, great portrayals throughout media, and us watching it this year after watching, James Gunn Superman movie was like, God damn, Mr. Terrific is awesome. And he's so well used in this movie.
The best.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
doesn't even throw a punch in this film at
Uh-huh.
all, and he's just so awesome, and he's portrayed so well in that. Um, oh, what a fun thing I wanted to talk about in this when we
Uh-huh.
all the worlds are in disarray because of them being in the bleeding. We get to
Been all over the
see
place.
our beloved Sergeant Rock and the losers show up
Hell yeah, we
from
do.
our one of our favorite shorts that
They were
in our
hilarious.
bros. They were great, and then they were like even look at Lowe's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Don't even worry about it. We're just gonna shoot them back to our time. Y'all have a good time." It's like the losers are so in like I don't know what's happening. We were fighting Nazis. Next thing we were fighting dinosaurs, and we just lost in time and space. And I think that blue thing's about to kill everyone. Fuck it, we always die anyway. We're the losers. Bye. It's like what?
Uh-huh. Bye.
Um,
I will say though, I hate to admit it because it is my most beloved character, but the thesaurus joke did make me audibly laugh out loud.
I didn't write it,
That
but they
was a
did
good
make me
one.
laugh. They got me. They got me
Mhm.
too. I was like, God damn it.
Mhm.
God damn it, Troy Baker.
Unfortunate.
Part of me thinks that was Troy
God
Baker
damn it,
messing
Troy
around.
Baker.
That was him
I
just joking
really hope
around.
it was. I love Troy Baker.
Yeah. He's a good he's a good Joker, man. I know like the little
He's
I
a
played of
great Joker. I
Arkham
mean,
Origins and yeah, he's just
Mark
great.
is
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
We got a lot of good
I fucking
Jokers
love
though.
Troy Baker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Troy Baker's good. John DiMaggio we mentioned last week. Who's the
Davidaggio always does a good job.
Kevin Michael Richardson from your beloved 2004 The Batman?
Yeah.
He does a really good job.
With the fucking dreads.
Yes, and the weird outfit. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he's a good Joker too. Um, we did get some sad things. Aquaman, his hook hand dies, and I thought that was interesting because I wrote this under here, and it's just if you know Aquaman, you kind of know why. I say I don't think Aquaman could bear the loss of his family. Like he would need to be
Right.
like if they're gonna die, I'm
No,
gonna
he
die with them.
clearly needed to be there with them.
Yeah, if I
He
can't
could
save
have
them, I need
not
to
been
die with
there,
them. Yeah,
but I don't think he would have been able to be up anything without them. And
yeah,
I thought it was a great character choice for them to let him go with his planet and
yeah.
let him, do what he needed to do to get closure on his life.
It's also interesting too because in a lot of media with Aquaman, he with Arthur Jr. Arthur Jr. tends to be a frigid. He dies, and to push the story along.
Yeah.
Not that I'm here condoning baby killing, but I understand like the idea behind it was, hey,
You're not condoning baby killing?
no, not in this podcast, not this one. Arthur kills Manta's dad. Feels bad about it afterwards, obviously, because he's like, ah, shit, he was a pirate, but like, I maybe should have tried to help him. And then Manta's like, I'm gonna kill your son. And then Arthur is like, you know what? I'll get you back. I'll raise your son. And
Accurate.
here's Calder.
Yeah.
That's how we get Calder. Yeah. So
I love Calderon.
I do.
My
Calderon's the best.
beloved. He is
Um,
the best.
but I thought it was there
Young
because
me had so much gender envy for Calderon, but that's something to discuss at a later date.
I think he has like no emotion to him for the most part. Like he's
Yeah,
he's portrayed
very
really interesting.
autism coded.
Yeah, he really is. He is very like
Yeah.
black and white. Yeah, he has black and white.
Mhm.
Yeah, moving on. We don't get Zachary Quinto as his Lex, but we do get what I thought was another actor who I think could play a Lex in live action. And speaking of MCU, he's been in there. Corey Stoll as Lex Luthor of Earth 10 fucking killed it, dude. And he's already bald. If you watch Ant-Man, he's already bald. This motherfucker could have legitimately just be Lex Luthor in live action. You can make him a Lex in like some alternate universe. Also, funny enough, I think this is coming out at the same time he's in Matt Reeves' Batman, the first Batman movie, as like some low level like politician or whatever. Who's addicted to drugs. But I heard his voice. I'm like, is that Corey Stoll? Like, and I saw the credits. I was like, oh, is he replacing Zachary Quinto? And then he says he's from a different Earth. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, but like, what is going on here? And then I guess we could talk about the fucking crazy thing of it all. John Constantine in part 2 finds out who his name was, starts finding out his history. They get
Before we
Constantine.
get there,
Yeah.
I have some really silly notes.
Oh yes, please.
Um,
Before we
I
get to the
do want to
serious stuff.
add, before we get to the serious stuff,
Mm.
that Ivy, very hot.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Very important note. And at one point I wrote, "World's greatest detective, my ass." What on earth did Bruce do to get that?
Yeah, honestly, this Bruce, because the only thing we see him being a detective at, he's not really that great at being a detective. He if self
Uh-huh.
admits that in the Long Halloween, he's like, I don't understand how to do this. I'm learning. He's learning throughout it, but he hasn't
Uh-huh.
done anything that crazy where he's to be considered the world's greatest detective. The only thing I can think of is that Nabu knows he has like some kind of hidden potential in him that we have not yet unlocked. That technically all Batmans are the world's greatest detective. It's just like we would have got there eventually, but there's a whole crisis thing happening.
Again, in my canon, Tim Drake has taken that for
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
And then we get fucking Constantine trying to save the whole universe. Blah 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 blah. Magical seance. Lex Luthor's big and asshole.
Yeah, yeah. He contacted the Anti-Monitor. He was like sacrificing worlds to, so he can figure
Yeah.
out whatever. Who knows?
Fuck, dude.
But
yeah.
Constantine kind of shows us the flip side of the age-old time travel question: is if you go back in time and you see baby Hitler, could you kill him? And
Barry Allen said no.
yes, because he's Barry Allen, and I get it.
Barry Allen. If it was me, I'd probably kill that baby.
Listen, Deadpool doesn't even kill Hitler in the extended version of
I know.
Deadpool 2.
Here's the thing. I have no affinity for the canon timeline.
Yeah, I'll destroy the timeline. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
But here's John Constantine, who does what is called one of the worst spells you can do. He cuts off a piece of his soul, attaches it to Barry, and basically typhoid marries everyone.
Fucking bubonic plagues, everybody.
Yeah, that's Barry was a bubonic plague rat. He's a plague rat. Going through apocalypse, killing all these parademons.
Fucking Marie Curie.
Yeah. And the worst part is Barry is not of sane mind at that point. You can tell obviously he's gone through whatever they went through in Apocalypse War, but he's also not in control for the most part. He is being manipulated by Constantine, which is very sad because of the outcome that we get at the end of this movie. And I want to touch upon that at the very end, and then we'll get into the roundup. But he gets played.
Is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. He gets played this whole, like, at the end of the DCAMU. And we were all under the assumption that Barry went back in time, just make sure they didn't fight. Something happened, and because he created another Flashpoint, that's how we got the Tomorrowverse. No, Barry goes back to Thanos. I'm sorry, Thanos. See, I saw his butt chin and it made me think of it.
Wrong fucking universe.
Yeah, same character, wrong universe.
Yeah.
Darkseid's first year of life where he has no magical affinity, no, anything like that. And Constantine, because he made Flash a fucking plague rat, had a failsafe that Barry didn't kill him, which he didn't because Barry's a hero. This thing would kill him, and we see baby Darkseid nose and mouth bleed black as he perishes, which is crazy in a PG-13 movie. This is coming off of Weapons after I've seen a rated R movie with a bunch of kids killing people. It is insane to see that, and then it's so heartbreaking because of that one moment. Constantine remembers everything. He's like, oh my god, I didn't remake the universe, I shattered it, I fucked everything up. And then of course Bruce and no one in the multiverse other than maybe Earth 12, I think it's called, which is the Diniverse, know about Darkseid. And that's only because they've interacted with Darkseid. The Earth 12 has interacted with Darkseid. So they defeated him. They've like locked him away. They haven't killed him. Because, and they explain this, and which is, if you're a Doctor Who fan, makes sense. because of the timey-wimey shit. Darkseid is a fixed point that cannot be removed. But in those instances, when you watch Doctor Who, fixed points can never be changed or anything. There's nothing you can do. What is going to happen is going to happen. That's the whole point of in Doctor Who of a fixed
Nobody
point.
can influence it no matter how hard
Yeah,
they try.
or even a fixed point being, as in like Captain Jack Harkness and things like that.
Right.
In this, because Darkseid's a fixed point being, they destroy him, and that shatters time and space and creates the multiverse.
All John fucking Constantine's fault. And I've been hating on him from the very beginning, and I was so justified.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Fuck that dude. You're
Yeah.
the reason everything's shit. It's all your fault. You killed my girl.
And this goes back to 4 months ago, that comment, the worst warlock, Meteorica White Man. Yes, sir. He destroyed the multiverse. Now, not even though he destroyed his universe, created a multiverse, and then causes that to then be destroyed. So all these billions of lives that become born, and the multiverse is a cancer. The Anti-Monitor is not a villain, technically. They're white blood cells trying to fix what John Constantine broke.
What John fucking Constantine broke and fucked up. Yeah.
And again, this goes to then my next point, which is Barry Allen, I understand his whole thing, and I think it's a kind of meta commentary to Barry's place within, DC as a whole because of the Flashpoint event, and they keep going back to that, whether it be Ezra Miller's movie or it be, the Arrowverse and things like that. They constantly touch upon the Flashpoint event. It's constant. Barry. Always goes back in time. Always says this. There's others Barry Allen surveillance. Yet we always go back to Flashpoint. Barry also gets punished. And I don't think it's fair because Barry does not have
just existed.
Yeah, he doesn't have the idea.
Constantine's guidelines.
Yeah. So this new possible universe that we see at the end of this film that's created, by Wonder Woman, spoilers. You see all these multiversal beings going there, and as it's explained by the Spectre, that when you walk through, he's like, the older Superman of Earth 2 says, hey, what's going to happen when I get there? He's like, there will always be a Superman, and a part of that Superman will always be you specifically. There'll be a tinge of you always in that being. Similar than the next Clark, like he looks at Lois, like, I hope we find each other again. He's like, if there's a Superman, there's a Lois, I guarantee you we'll find each other and we'll be in love. And they walk through together. So that, says all this stuff. Barry never gets an opportunity to walk through that portal. This world, this new universe that's created at the end, never gets a Barry out. There is a Speed Force, which is a multiversal concept that everyone can tap into. So there could be a Flash. We could have a Wally West that becomes a Flash.
Speedster.
Yeah, but it's not going to be Barry in his universe as a sort of cosmic punishment. And I don't think that's entirely fair when, John is really the culprit here of this disaster.
Constantine.
And Constantine gets Spectre gives him like, hey man, there's some hope for you, as they walk together and just accept their fate. It's like,
fuck that guy.
Does that mean you get to go to heaven, or because you repented after all these millennia? Or what is going on here?
Fuck that.
So
Let him fuck his cities in hell.
Yeah. So I was like, it's not fair. I was like, what a dick move to do that to Barry, knowing he's not going to kill him. Give him yo, this is the only way, man. And he goes back in time, doesn't get to kill him, doesn't do it, runs away. And of course, Barry probably says fuck it, we'll figure out a different way. And accidentally causes a chain reaction that because he does kill him. And you made him accomplice to baby murder.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck, John Constantine?
Speaking of something that's cosmically unfair.
Yeah.
What is cosmically unfair to me personally as a human is that we get to see a very great moment of my beloved John Stewart
Yes.
becoming the head of the Lantern Corps and seeing all the people he inspired
Yeah.
to become or regain their Green Lantern rings and form the new Green Lanterns. And we will never see from this man in this universe ever again. And I'm
No.
so sad about that.
No, it is. It's very heartbreaking. Our only like guiding light is that we are getting some John Stewart content in next year's Lanterns.
And it's
But
Space Cops,
yeah,
but we'll see how it goes.
but it's sad that, you know, it is a payoff to that end credit scene that we mentioned. It was like, well, that's weird. He just sends the rings off for like no rhyme or reason.
Right.
And we see the corpse members that become, you know, members from his universe, which one of the crazy ones to me, being a lifelong Green Lantern fan and like reading a lot of the 2000s run, was one of the members of the Spider Guild, which are intergalactic spider humanoid, which already for me, fucking hate, do not like at all, especially when certain people draw them because they draw them super realistic, and that's horrifying.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Intergalactic gigantic humanoid spider pirates. There was one spider throughout this hive, or I don't know what the fuck spiders have. Fuck them. I hate them. They can all be banished from this earth. Ironically,
I'm
guys,
not taking this anti-spider.
super anti-spider.
Stance. Just Carlos.
Also, the irony: Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character.
Fucking hypocrite.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, make it make sense. There's one good Spider Guild member that's like, oh man, I don't like what these fucking guys are doing, and gets a Green Lantern ring. Like, oh, huh. There's one good one out of y'all. That sounds racist, by the way. As being of another race.
Spider racist over here.
Yeah, that sounds
Carlos Rodriguez.
xenophobic, 100%. Yeah. And I understand this goes back to like
xenophobia.
I get, you know, Lex Luthor be like, I don't like these aliens on this planet. It's like, yo, Lex, real quick, I don't agree with you on the Kryptonians. There's a species of spiders out there though. I'm with you on them. You want to eradicate them? I'm down, bro. I'll commit crimes, intergalactic war crimes against each other. But you see them, and then immediately we see, and I freaked out, two of my all-time favorite characters in Aya and Razor. Now,
hell yeah.
If you don't know who they are, Aya and Razor are from one of my favorite TV shows, which is Green Lantern, the 3D animated series created by Paul Dini. And Aya is a sentient ship, experimental ship that Hal uses because there's like some plot with the Red Lanterns and all this stuff. He's constantly fighting in this series a Red Lantern by the name of Razor, who is conflicted about what's going on. There's like some secret thing happening in the universe. And so it's Hal Jordan, Razor, a Red Lantern, and then Aya, who then becomes sentient because it's her own power and basically becomes like a Green Lantern, an honorary Green Lantern, and he gets to use a ring. And they fight, you know, like interact and stuff. There's 2 seasons. It's wonderful. I implore you to watch it. It's on HBO Max. Fuck Dave's ass. These characters are so popular. In the last season of Young Justice, they pop up, and there is a thing that happens with Razor at the end, I believe, of season 2, or if not, it happens, I think, in Young Justice, where he gets like, no one's like, I've never seen a good Red Lantern and all this stuff, and because he is good, he channels his rage, he doesn't just spew it everywhere. He gets also a Blue Lantern ring, which is hope. So half of his suit is blue and half of it's red. It's contrasting.
Cool.
And then at some point he just exudes so much hope that it overrides his rage, and he finally lets go of his rage. The ring flies off, which, if you know what a Red Lantern ring does, that means he has no internal organs. He's dying real quick. The Blue Lantern ring restores himself, so he's fine. And that's what we see. We see Razor in Young Justice become a full Blue Lantern. You see him with Aya, so you get a little resolution to that series. Not sure if the Dini series is canon to Young Justice, but
Right.
you get an idea. And then they popped up in this. I lost my fucking mind, Sly, to see that. And they're
I
also
love
like
that for
a will
you.
they won't they, by the way. The
Yeah.
sentient
We
like
love a will
robot
they, won't they?
with this rageful enemies to lovers. We love that. We
Yeah.
love that.
We love that so
This
much.
Jinyu Arumi, you know, whatever dirty books fee and tarot read. We love it. We love that shit. So we
I
see
love
that.
that I never catch strays for the dirty books I read,
No,
and
no,
it's just Fee and Tara.
yeah, it's funnier that way because they don't listen to the show. They don't. They don't know. If Tara's not right there,
Uh-huh.
she's not. She doesn't know.
Uh-huh.
And the best part
Right.
is that usually if she's there at this time of night when we're filming, she's asleep, so she has no idea. It's hilarious every time to me, and only me alone.
Uh-huh.
But I saw them.
We get a kick out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that, and then Razor creates a Green Lantern ring for John and gives it to him, and I thought it was so fucking cool. And then to see them hold off the Anti-Monitor for a little bit as they come up with their final plan, which is superpowering Superman with 52 suns to, you know, embed himself in this, and he's gonna die, all this stuff. One of the things I love is because it's a I'm gonna show you, not tell you thing, and if you know, you know. Having Razor in the middle of all these new Green Lanterns and John Stewart being what they call we scan the multiverse. You are the greatest Green Lantern, and that means like as a universal construct, like any John Stewart is the greatest. So that's a cool
Which
thing he gets.
I personally love.
Listen, I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, objectively, they're not wrong. They're really not
Uh-huh.
wrong. Like
Listen, I love Jessica. I love Kyle Rayner.
yeah,
We love a lot of Green Lanterns. Kilowog, my beloved.
yeah,
Big fan. But John Stewart, that's my boy. That's been
yeah.
my boy since day one. I love that man
Mhm.
so much.
They always say, they tell us, they don't show us that Hal Jordan's the greatest Green Lantern.
Yeah,
They
fuck that guy.
show us, they don't tell us that John Stewart's really the greatest Green Lantern. And like again, my favorite is Kyle Rayner. I love Simon Bass. I love Jessica. You know, I love all these people, but like honestly, I get it. And I'm not questioning. But one of the cool things of having that in there is the lore that is the Blue Lantern. The fact that the Blue Lantern's purpose is to empower Green Lantern. So that's why those Green Lanterns are able to fend off the Anti-Monitor for so long, because they're not working at 100%. They're working at like 300% power fighting. So
Yeah, they
they're
have so much
able,
belief. They have
yeah,
so much hope.
yeah,
They trust each other so
yeah.
deeply,
And
and
they
they trust
just meet each
John
other.
to lead them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how great, and that's such a, again, talking about full circles, seeing where Razor is in the beginning of season 1 of Green Lantern, and then coming back to season, you know, to this movie and seeing his whole life cycle play in like in a loop, and seeing him now a confident Blue Lantern and doing all this good stuff. It's like, wow, what a beautiful moment for that. And then finally, you know, you mentioned this is ouch with a heart emoji. Kara dies. She takes Clark's place.
Rough.
She destroys what we presume to be the only Anti-Monitor. Unfortunately, it's not.
What really guts me about that is we killed off Kara, and for what? For nothing. Sure, yeah, you got rid of one Anti-Monitor, and sure, yeah, you get this great shot of Superman cradling her dead body in
The
space,
iconic image,
and
yeah.
then laying her down on the table, and Darren Criss gives this guttural, absolutely devastating scream, and I lost my fucking mind. But also, we did this all for what? Just to discover that there's like a bajillion other Anti-Monitors that are like white blood cells attacking the cancer that John fucking Constantine created. Ugh.
You know who wouldn't have to die, Sly? Kara, if John didn't fuck with time and space.
Fucking John Constantine killed Kara, and I'm mad about it.
And then we get all the, you know, last minute MacGuffin bullshit.
I genuinely
I'll recap this, which is we find out that there's not just one Anti-Monitor, multiples, because again, creating the multiverse in this sense was a cancer to what is reality. It is Constantine's fault. Nabu
Oh,
tells us
there was something in there about Brady and whatever machine,
the miracle machine. Yes.
and they were the miracle machine, and they were gonna use that to like fix something, right?
Yes. Yeah. In
Okay.
this about year that we've seen like throughout these three films, Kara and Babs became best friends as they always do in the universes. And they talked, and she told her stories of how they defeated, Monel and this, League of Assassins
Right.
and stuff in the future. Oh, the Circle. I'm sorry. And they used this miracle machine, and she mentioned Babs mentioned like she actually mentioned something that might help us in this situation. She said it's in a pocket universe and all this other stuff, and then they use a different hero, Nightshade, who's like, I'm not that strong, I can't do it. And then next thing you know, like John holds her hand.
Oh
By the way,
yeah.
John
Okay, I
Jones is
did see
alive,
this.
holds her hand, and he's like, I can amplify your powers, finds the pocket
Uh-huh.
universe, finds the machine. She's like, all right, we're here, but I don't know if I can take it back. He's like, you already did it. And she's like, what? And she looks back, they're back on the ship, on the satellite, and he looks over
Uh-huh.
at the machine's there. So it's hilarious. And they can't figure out how to turn it on, and they realize that it needs immense power, but not necessarily like willpower or anything like that.
Mhm.
Uh
Oh, and they were playing on the emotions of everybody across the universe,
y-
right?
yes, that was for War World to shoot the
Okay.
anti-monitor. Yeah,
Never
yeah, yeah.
mind.
That's how Kara was able to get in and then like kind of release the
Yeah,
solar
yeah, okay.
energy.
Where after that, I saw the scene where Nightshade grabbed the miracle machine, and we're back on
Mhm.
the planet, and I think this is where I closed my eyes.
Yes, so they had the miracle machine. They figure out how to power it and what to do with it. So they come up with the idea, at least Dr. Fate and all, to create a mono universe. So a universe that encompasses everything that what the multiverse is and just compact in one universe. Which is
That
not
sounds
too,
messy.
yeah, and also not too dissimilar to the live action Crisis event that we saw, and as well the original comic book series, because comics back in the day were so messy that they made this Crisis event to make one universe in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
So Wonder Woman volunteers since she is immortal, and she's like, maybe this like immortal energy can be the thing that powers it.
Right.
It does. So it opens a gateway, and you see this new mono universe. Clark and her, or Shakespeare, should I say, have their final goodbyes. It's very poignant, really. It's beautiful. It's nice. But as this is happening, all of these white blood cells, these anti-monitors, are going through the rest of the worlds and destroying them. Notably, the Super Friends universe, the 70s cartoon Super Friends, they get destroyed. Batman gets a fax, but he's too late to see it. And he kind of looks back, they died. Our next one is a very poignant scene. It's Earth 12, which we know as the Deaniverse, and we get to see it's in our drama class. Batman, Kevin Conroy versus Mark Hamill, Joker, one last time. And there's some beautiful lines which we'll get to again in drama class. And then you see the Watchtower of JLU, and you see Superman, Wonder Woman, Wally West, Flash, everyone that we come to know in the Justice League trying to scramble, try to figure out how to stop it. They can't. John and Shiera look at each other, and Shiera grabs John and kisses him as
Oh,
the anti-monitor wave comes over them, and they share that.
ouch. Okay.
And he's
Love
shocked at
that for
first. He's like,
them.
"Wait, what?" And then she kisses him, professing her love at the end. And then we see Earth. I think they call it 2000 or Earth 03 or something like that, 2003, which is the Teen Titans universe of
Hell
2003.
yeah.
And we don't see them, but we see their Titan Tower, and it gets destroyed. It gets annihilated.
Okay.
Which promptly, as I
Ugh,
was watching this
iconic.
with my kids, I'm like, oh my god, they killed I just said, oh my god, they killed the Teen Titans. And my daughter goes, no, not Starfire. I was like,
So real, girl.
I was like,
So real.
oh, I know what you feel. I was like, it's don't worry about it. She's like, what about, is she gonna come back? I was like, I'm sure, maybe. I don't know. Let's not talk about it. So it's so sad. I was like, maybe I shouldn't watch this part at the end with the kids.
Mhm.
And so it keeps going and going and going, and we're getting to the end here, and it finally they start, open the universe, and they make the decision to go through. As I mentioned, Earth 2 Superman's like, hey, what happens when I go there? The Spectre explains that there will always be a Superman, and a part of you will always be part of that Superman. Everyone starts making their way through. The question, being the question, looks at the Spectre and basically is like, fuck you. I don't
Hell
trust
yeah.
you. I don't trust this. And I'm not going.
Hell yeah.
And turns his back. And so this universe has no question.
That's fine. I love that for him.
Yeah,
Stick to your integrity.
Batman takes a long time. Justin takes a long time to go in. Helena tells him, like, it's okay, maybe we'll find ourselves and stuff like that. The one person we didn't see go through, and they could have walked through, maybe I missed it, and I didn't think about it this way. I hope Terry walked through. I don't know if we'll see whatever comes out of this, right? I hope Terry walked through, because the idea that we've established is if like a universe doesn't have a future, that future goes away. Earth 12, which is the Diniverse,
doesn't have a future,
gets destroyed. It has no future. That means technically Terry wouldn't be around unless Terry walked through that portal.
My boy.
So hopefully he walked through that portal, and that world eventually somehow down the line will have a thing. Kamandi has a really beautiful scene that kind of plays on what we saw in part 2, which we didn't really talk about, but his trauma with his world. He's like, if I go down there, like that means like it's all gonna happen. Same like the Spectre looks at him and is like, there's a chance. He's like, but, and then Kamandi looks at him and is like, there's a chance that we have to fight harder to make sure that doesn't happen, right? He's like, yeah. Right. And he walks in. So there's always a chance that boy can grow up and not have a mutant world where humans are hunted and hated, and he has this horrible, terrible life. Or there's a chance.
Had a really beautiful moment when his planet got destroyed.
Yeah, he's
that scene was really well done.
He's really well written for the shorts and this series that we got, like the little burst that we got. And then finally, Psycho Pirate gets stuck on Earth 10. He dies. We've established Barry doesn't make it to the Pseudo universe, and Constantine says, like, I know where I'm going to hell. And the Spectre's like, really? You think you're going to hell? And kind of like toys with him. He's like, do you think you're going to hell? He's like, I've read every scripture, I've read everything. He's like, I've destroyed a multiverse. Like, I'm going to hell. He's like, there's always hope. And they walk together. He's like, meh. And Constantine decides not to even try to book it for the door.
Don't fuck. And God's wrath.
Yeah, he walks with the Spectre.
Don't sleep with him.
I honestly, I would not be shocked if John Constantine is not clapping cheeks with God's wrath. That makes sense. I get it.
I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, honestly.
And then finally we see a glimpse of this new universe, and we see a young Diana playing on the edge of Themyscira, and Hippolyta yelling at her to be not too close because you might fall. She's like, and she goes, "You're not immortal. Don't play like that." And she's like, okay. And she's like, I love you, Mom, and all this stuff. And so we get a glimpse of this new universe, and that is the end of the Tomorrowverse, and technically every other universe that we covered so far. We have gone full circle and
we've killed off everything.
Yeah.
Just like John Constantine.
So with that very long notes and recap of these movies, we're going to go to the Andrea Romano roundup and quickly go through these subsections, because the first question is, Sly, did the Tomorrowverse stick the landing?
60-40.
Yeah, I agree. It tried.
It tried. It did a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe too much.
Yeah. There's some good there. And we've talked about it at the end of the episodes. We'll say it again. Beware My Power. Great Green Lantern movie. Long Halloween, great Batman movies, and I think you should watch both of them. Justice Society, really fun movie, and then Legion of Superheroes, really great movie. Warworld is a stinker. Man of Tomorrow is disappointing, and
it had promise and it didn't deliver, which I think makes it worse.
Also, with hindsight, because these podcasts are evergreen, when we talk about Man of Tomorrow, we're not talking about the newly announced live-action James Gunn Superman sequel called Man of Tomorrow. We're talking about the animated Tomorrowverse, Man of Tomorrow.
Tomorrow 2020.
Yes, not 2027.
Yeah.
It does.
God,
It
can you
does.
imagine our podcasts existing in 2027? If you're listening from 2027, leave a comment
Yeah.
somewhere,
Did
wherever
we?
we exist on the internet.
Are
If
we
the
rich?
world still exists by then, I will be really impressed.
Yeah. A. If the world exists. B. Did I become rich? Did I lose my hair? That's my question. Answer below. You tell me. Yeah. Um. Or is my hair grayer because I have crazy children? I agree though. I don't. I can't say that the Tomorrowverse stuck its landing. Right. If I had to compare the DC AMU versus the Tomorrowverse, I would say I enjoy the DC AMU more, even though that is very Batman centric. We talked about that ad nauseum, how much Batman we got there. And then again, not that we hate Batman, it's just a lot. This was very
Yeah.
diversified and scattered, and it didn't feel right.
My overall thoughts are the Tomorrowverse had a stronger concept and poorer execution. And I think the DCAMU had stronger execution with poorer concept.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
listen, I liked the Tomorrowverse. Again,
Yeah.
I'm still giving it a overall positive. You know, like D's get degrees, 65%, not bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Because
overall,
honestly,
we had
most
a
of them
great
hit the
time.
landing. Yeah. Most of the movies hit.
Yeah.
It's just when it's so scattered this way, and when you use a narrative style that you use in episode, like part one of Crisis, my questions go: was this the plan all along? Because
Right.
I don't know if you guys executed your plan correctly, and if it wasn't the plan, and you guys are answering to the mistakes you made in the past, it feels forced. Like, am I enjoying these
Exactly.
moments?
Yeah.
Yes, but it does feel forced. It does feel like too much, too little, too late, or too much, too late. Right? I guess in that sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. And admittedly, I have a lot of nostalgia and love for the DCAMU. It's like what got me back into DC as an entire entity. I had like fallen off of superhero media in general, and becoming a fan of the DCAMU got me back on board with superheroes as a concept, as a whole. Like, this kicked off so much of my love for everything that I hold dear right now, and is a part of the reason why we're making this podcast here today. Like, if I had not fallen in love with these movies, I wouldn't have operated in the circles I do. And I would not have, found the people who made it possible for me to yap about things on the internet and eventually make this movie about how much we love DC animated content. Like,
Yeah.
the DC AMU was the reason why this podcast exists in at least 3 different ways. And it's not perfect. I'll
No.
talk shit about it when it deserves it. 100%. There are some major issues in there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not gonna pass this by. Uh, but I hold so much love for that whole series, and I was always kind of hesitant about approaching the Tomorrowverse with how much reference I have
Mm-hmm.
for the first series. And I'm really glad I visited it. I enjoyed it. I don't think any of these movies I will revisit, probably, unfortunately. But I am happy to have experienced all of them. And I
Yeah.
hope you all have enjoyed our
Yeah.
takes on them.
Yeah, I think if I were to watch any of these films again, the only two I could think of putting them on and like showing someone and be like, it's decent, would be Green Lantern Beware My Power and would be Legion of Superheroes. I think those two are the
Yeah,
strongest out of this whole film series.
absolutely.
The and
Personally, I could not get over how light Jon Stewart is, and that was a major
Yep.
sticking point, and I
Yeah.
barely got through that movie because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Great movie otherwise. Okay, all you editors out there, if somebody could make like a shader or something specifically to make Jon Stewart in Green Lantern Beware My Power more closely resemble his complexion in like other animated properties, I would watch
Hmm.
that edit of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think also one of the interesting things I was thinking about is like I mentioned John and Shira. I think he's also lighter, and I'm talking about like Earth 12.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I think he might, be, which is frustrating. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this series technically gives sticks the landing. You know, I
Uh-huh.
can't say it doesn't. Also, ending on such a massive scale is quite an undertaking, and that was my
It's
next.
the endgame effect,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. And it's funny because DC was one of the ones who did it earliest, right? You know, and that's kind
Right.
of funny enough. It's referencing that because this is an adaptation of the '80s, seminal
Uh-huh.
series, Crisis on Infinite Earths. What?
Right.
So for me, outside of that comic book, the only time we've seen this adapted in any way, shape, or form was on the Arrowverse.
Uh-huh.
What did you see the Arrowverse version of this?
I don't think I got that far.
Okay, so at
I
least
think I watched up to season 7 of Arrow and whatever respective season that was of all the other shows.
gotcha. So that crossover would have been
Approximately.
like the Nazi one, right? With all the Nazis, I think was that season or something like
I
that.
genuinely don't
Yeah,
remember. That was almost a decade ago.
yeah. So Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths happens on the Arrowverse, and I think that again with the Arrowverse is very similar to the Tomorrowverse, where like does it technically stick the landing? Like we do see a lot of interesting characters in the Arrowverse, and they do a lot of good adaptations of live action, things and things like that. Technically, I don't think the Arrowverse technically lands quite the same as
Uh-huh.
Tomorrowverse gets a passing grade. Um,
Right.
but when it came to the Crisis event, I think when it comes to TV, I think we knew ahead of time. I knew what this was happening. Hey, we're gonna make
Mhm.
everything cohesive. So like Supergirl's not on a different Earth now that everything's on the same channel. Like I get where we're getting here with the Crisis event. That's what the
Right.
Crisis event is. But we got these beautiful moments and kind of goodbyes that we didn't get throughout the animated version till the very end. And we got
Uh-huh.
goodbyes and we got to see like beloved versions of characters, right? So we got to witness
Mhm.
Brandon Routh return to Superman after 2005 Superman Returns, which I enjoy that movie. I have a lot of criticisms of that movie, but the quote that he says to his son at the end, try not to get choked up, was the first thing I ever said to Connor when he was born.
Mm.
When his
Mhm.
when Tara finally fell asleep, I looked at him and I promised myself I was always going to say this to my son. I had my son in my hand, who's named after the House of L character, and I said, "That's exactly it." So Brandon Routh's Superman means a lot to me,
Mhm.
and for him to get like a redeeming end to his character,
Mhm.
get like a really cool suit, that's his own suit, seeing him older, seeing all the stuff, seeing Tom Welling come back as his Clark
Mhm.
and get closure for the Smallville
Yeah.
universe, and seeing what he's gonna be Superman, he's gonna do this. No, his Clark is a normal guy, gave up his powers, has two daughters, lives on the farm with Lois. He's domesticated the Lois Lane, which is crazy. That's insane to me. You get these beautiful moments, and you get John Cryer as Lex, and there's all these like cool moments and things that happens, and you get like a Justice League at the end and some funny things. I think that Crisis event, knowing that that was going to be a Easter egg, central, like we saw Burt Ward as his Dick Grayson, as a 70-year-old man walking Ace the Bat Hound in his 66 universe, get taken away by the anti-monitor, we saw, Tim Burton's Batman universe get taken away. We saw, that character from that movie get taken away. We saw all these like nostalgia things, and that felt better knowing that this week-long season or series of episodes from every show was going to be, hey, these are just the hits, these are just the nostalgia with a lot of story, and then afterwards we have this new universe. Okay, it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily need to hit, but it can be fun. This
Right.
had the inevitable task of being like, hey, we have to hit, we have to
Right.
show some of these things, and we can have some Easter eggs. We didn't get a lot, which is unfortunate for me. But we have to do that, and at the same time, we have to then push the series forward, whatever the next iteration of this
Right.
is going to be. If I had to compare the two, I think I might like the live action more, but that might be specifically for those nostalgia trips. We only get a few in
And
this.
it's a different format.
Yeah.
Like, we can't discredit how different television versus movies plays on our emotions and the space they have to do so, and the space in which we are approaching these stories in these different formats, and how that affects our relationship to them. Like, I love talking about media, obviously. I do it
Mhm,
on a
mhm.
podcast all the time. And it's so interesting to have shows where I get to talk about a movie structure, a very clear, 3-act hero's journey. Like,
Yep.
we're just telling the same story 100 times in a row. And having a show where I get to talk about network television, the structure of television, and what does it mean to be a network show in the year of our Lord 2025,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. They're very different types of media, and they're supposed to have different effects on us. It's why we can't just make television shows into 8-hour movies. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's why if you read a book and watch a movie on the same story, you're gonna feel differently because it is making you relate to the characters in different ways. One is really internal and is like this personal story and journey with this character, and one is watching this beautiful story to being told to you in an incredibly visual manner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a rant and a tangent that had hardly anything to do with what we are talking
No,
about.
no, because it works though. All right, so moving on to drama class, and then we'll the last drama, you know, act out scene we'll
Huh.
do kind of ties into the
Yeah.
last part of the roundup. So start with part one. We have two scenes here. We have Flash and Green Arrow. Who would you like to be, Sly?
Not Green Arrow.
Okay. I'll be Green. I'll be out.
Whoa, I know you. Robin Hood.
Not Robin Hood.
You're just like him.
Robin Hood doesn't have a car. Hello,
Okay,
Molly.
rich boy.
Hello. Yeah. All right. Next we have Harbinger and Dr. Light. This new Dr. Height. Who would you like to be? Would you like to be Kara or Dr. Light?
Pick. I don't have strong opinions either way. I love both of them.
No, I'll be Kara in this one.
Okay.
Because we talked a little bit about her, but Dr. Hoshi, Dr. Light, sassy as hell. She's
Oh yeah.
yeah. Dr. Hoshi. I know this all must seems very strange and disorienting to you, but
Strange? Yeah, you got that right. Everyone here is dressed, and you have to kidnap me in my bathrobe?
this fabricator can provide you with whatever clothing you can imagine.
I'm a photonics expert, not a fashion designer.
I don't think she ever has a nice thing to say throughout this whole film, and I love her. I love her to
No,
death.
she's a sassy bitch,
Yeah,
affectionate.
yeah, she's like a angry cat, like an angry black cat.
Yeah,
I love her.
correct.
All right, moving to part two. This is one of my favorite scenes, so I just kind of picked this one specifically. So our choices are: we have Batgirl, Earth 2 Robin, Damian Robin, and Batman. How are we doing this? You want to be Bruce, and I'll be the other ones?
Oh, do you want to be the two Robins, and I'll be Bruce and Fab?
Okay, yeah. All right, we'll do that.
We're not killers.
You trained us well. We know what we're doing.
I didn't train you.
You needed help. When the Justice Society was assigned to search for the Flash,
I'm the one who gave them the assignment. A wild goose chase. The Flash is dead.
he's missing. Oh,
missing.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
There were no witnesses. No body. The last thing I needed were a bunch of dilettantes and senior citizens getting in my way.
This isn't even your Earth.
It's the Earth whose tower is in the middle of Gotham. That makes it my world, and I work alone. Who died and made you king? Everyone on Earth 3.
Damn. Damn. It's not wrong, but goddamn. He doesn't have to be a dick about it. Typical
Well,
Bruce.
he does have to be a dick about it because his name is one Bruce Wayne.
And then finally, the scene that almost made me cry in front of my children today. This is from part 3. One last time, Sly. We get to be Joker and Batman. Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
And I'll let you be Joker for this one, much as you love.
Thank you. I must say, Batsy, I'm flattered. The end of the world, and you want to spend it with me. I didn't know you cared.
I care, Joker. About Gotham. About justice. And if it has to end, at least I go out like this. Being Batman. And I teared up.
Did go out like that. It's fine. I'm not crying. You're crying.
For context, this came out before Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. So technically the last thing you hear is Suicide Squad. But this was the last Batman thing he filmed as well. Yeah, we don't acknowledge that. This was the last thing a terminally ill Kevin Conroy filmed. Suicide Squad just happened to come out later. This came out before that. And this was his final line as Batman. And it is a very full circle moment.
This podcast.
Yeah. So we've talked about our thoughts of this movie, if you should watch it, all that stuff. So the last thing before we tell you your homework, which you don't have homework, you just get to see us be idiots on the internet next episode.
I'm very excited.
The last thing I wanted to touch upon was the last thing I wrote on here. And it's us saying goodbye to Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
He means
that's certainly what we're doing.
Right? Yeah, he means so much to so many of us, right? And since his passing, there's been so many like adorable and beautiful moments that we've seen with him. You know, he obviously has an amazing short story that was written in one of the, I believe maybe even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, one in DC Prides, which is a collection of queer-centric stories in the DC universe. So they'll follow like John Kent or Aqualad or, you know, different Connor Hawk, things like that. The Dreamer, things like, you know, more modern, Apollo, Midnighter, you know, things like that. Queer characters within the DC universe. Marvel does it. They call Marvel Voices, and then it'll be like Pride for that month. Or they have one coming out in a few weeks for Hispanic Heritage. So in the specific story of Pride that this comes from, I can't tell you what issue. I'm so sorry what year it came out. Kevin tells the story of him being a gay man in Hollywood and the difficulties he had, you know, and how low he was mentally.
Right.
And then getting the opportunity of a lifetime in one of the most seminal TV series that we've gotten on air, which is Batman the Animated Series. It is one that has won Emmys for its own just groundbreaking television. It treated a generation of comic book fans who loved the medium before, you know, we were old enough, before even I was old enough to really dive into it, as not idiots, you know, recontextualize a lot of characters and gave us definitive versions of characters. But as well for a generation like me growing up, who were children at this time, gave us a series and television that did not treat children as idiots and did not hold our hands and told very compelling stories, gave us life lessons as many, you know, children's shows do. You know, if unfortunately you may not have a parental figure that can do that for you, like I didn't. You know, I always say, Mom and Pop can't and May Parker are my parents. And there's a reason behind that. And this series did a lot. It showed, what it meant to be a hero. And then to later in his life when he talks about it in this specific DC ride, um, really diving into the character and kind of finding himself, his queerness, and accepting himself as, being who he is, being queer in Batman. And coding Batman as a way of like using the real life things that happen, hiding himself, having this alternate persona that he didn't show the public. He really put that into Batman, and I think because of that, that gave us this seminal version of Batman that to this day, there's so many great live action Batmans. I only think of Kevin Conroy. When I think of Batman, I think of Kevin Conroy.
Right. Yeah.
That's no knock to Robert Pattinson. That's no knock to Christian Bale.
Heart and soul
Yeah.
of every single one of them.
Yeah. No, that's no knock to Jensen. That's no knock to Bruce Greenwood. That's no knock to anyone. Everyone, there's a lot of really good Batman. There's some before. Adam West, of course, did it. And, another actor before in like the serials, but nothing before or after has come close to Kevin Conroy. And to get one more last thing when he's so sick. And he gave us a gift of giving us one last line. And Batman meant so much to him and to us. It was a beautiful send off. Sly, anything you want to touch upon Kevin Conroy as you cry on screen? Made you cry. Sorry.
I'm just bawling on screen. It's fine. Yeah, we love him so much, and obviously he loved this character and this role so much, and it gave him so much in his own life that he turned around and poured back into ours. He truly embodied this character of hope, that we don't often see in a Batman portrayal, especially in the modern times. And he really embraced what it means to be a hero and to give us this gift that this wasn't for him. This last line, it might have, resolved something in him and gave him peace, and I hope it did, but this was for the fans. This was one last act for us, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we love him for it. And, again, he is Batman. He is the voice of Batman. He is the heart and soul of Batman, and he always will be.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. And I love like anytime a clip of Kevin Conroy as Batman comes up, I love showing it to people who love the character but maybe don't read comic books or maybe have not seen every episode of Justice League. Justice League Unlimited Batman anime series and new Batman Adventures, right? And I remember last week, leading up to Batman Day, which is this is recording post Batman Day. DC's social media pages have been very active with Batman content. And we talked about this in the Massive Fantastic, our very first episode. There's a beautiful scene that Bruce has where he is, in the earliest stages of creating the Batman persona. And he goes to the grave of Thomas and Martha and begs them to forgive him.
Right.
And that is, we always talk about Bruce being the mask, Batman being the real persona. And I think in these early stages of Batman's career, you really see that Bruce is a person at this point. He's not fully into the I'm Batman, I'm only Batman because of the trauma that's even built post my parents dying, have hardened him to become this Batman. And it's this one last grasp of desperation that he has. And it's so well acted that I can't think of anyone else who could have done a better job than Kevin Conroy in that scene. The desperation, the sadness that comes from him, the heartbreak.
Like giving up his one last tie to humanity.
Yeah. And him begging, he's like, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know I could be happy. It's just, so heartbreaking. And I always go back to that scene. So if you have social media, that scene's on their Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. You can check it out. It's absolutely wonderful. Please do yourself a favor and do that. But thank you, Kevin Conroy, for always being our Batman.
You. We love you.
And thank you for giving us one last gift in this just one line, and it's so perfectly you and who you were as Batman and everything and whatever. So thank you from DC graduates to you. Rest in peace, sir. So that's it for this episode. We're gonna end on a very somber note, but next
Is
week,
that really how we're going
yeah,
out of this? All
yeah.
right.
Hey, we already
Okay.
told the people you want to watch this movie. Maybe just watch part 2 and 3. The Tomorrowverse was okay. It technically stuck
It
the
was fine.
landing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in my opinion, the live action Crisis event may be a little better, but that's my personal preference. I don't think you're wrong if you think this is better. Your homework is no homework. You get to just again watch us be idiots on the internet as I try to figure out a ranking system as we talk about the families of DC and we rank the loving families of the DC universe and where they stack up to each other, and we'll come up with a definitive, the only definitive tier on the internet of
The
who is the
only
best family.
correct
Yes, no
definitive
one.
answer.
Yes, no one is right other than the people on that specific podcast. But
And we will have a very exciting guest.
yes,
That I'm so excited for you all to
Same.
hear from. I cannot wait.
yeah. But before we go, Sly, where can people find you?
Apparently sobbing on this podcast here at youtube.com/@point-in-progress. Where you can find a lot of other really cool shows that the rest of this collective make, including some absolutely wild e- episodes that Frank has been making about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Absolutely check those out. Those are incredible. I'm not on them, but I love them so much. I'm plugging them here in this podcast.
He's so good. He's so good at playing that game. Both episodes are wonderful.
Yeah. And in addition to Frank being really good at video games, we also have another Let's Play series on our channel hosted by
Me. That's me. Yeah. It's not a loop. Currently filming season 3, but It's Not a Loop is our Remedyverse playthrough series. I played through the Remedy games for the very first time. First season was Alan Wake Remastered and Alan Wake American Nightmare. Season 2 was Quantum Break. Took a long break because video games are awesome, and 2 amazing video games came out in Death Stranding 2 and Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and that ate up my life. And then secondly, though I did love my experiences of playing Quantum Break, Alan Wake and American Nightmare, that was a lot to compact and play on a weekly basis that I needed a little bit of a
You
break.
got through this quick too.
I did. I really did. And it was and you know what? I'm okay. I took a little time for myself. Mentally, I'm better now. And guess what? I'm loving control. You know, I'm just loving it. So I can't wait till everyone sees that when it's all out in the open. But keep an eye on youtube.com/point-in-progress. And as always, I say, if you're listening to this podcast, go over to youtube.com/point-in-progress, like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching us, go over to your favorite podcast service of choice, like, share, subscribe there, share it to everyone. Tell us down below why you love Kevin Conroy and your favorite Kevin Conroy story, or if you met him, anything like that. God, that'd have been
also,
awesome.
Tell us if you hate us. We accept hate comments. We find them frankly hilarious. So really, honestly, genuinely, try to offend us, please.
Yeah.
I want to see your best.
It's just going to be a lot of racism. It's just a lot of racism.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do see a lot of racism in our.
It happens. It happens. But till next time, class has been dismissed.
Bye.